The world will tremble before my genius, my power, my... Oh, for the love of science, stop grinning like that.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another interview. Today, I am joined by my good friend Amber here, but we are joined today by Sean Chiplock, an extremely talented voice actor that I'm just amazed to be on a call with right now. Sean, how you doing?
Citation needed. I'm sorry, cite your sources. I grew up in an era of like AP source citing, and if you didn't do it, you failed your project. So I need like, what was it called? What was the last page called where you posted all the links to like all your sources you used?
Yeah, it was your citation page, yeah.
Yeah,
Citations sourced or something like that, yeah.
It has been so long
Brock,
since I've had
true?
to write an
Am I
essay.
talented?
You are very talented. I don't want to hear it.
You're not Brock, you're Tibbers.
You got a point there, but still, you're very talented.
Thank you. Also, you were talking about butterflies. Share with the room.
All right, Amber, you tell the story.
Talking about?
Okay, so before you came in, we were talking about the St. Louis Zoo that I got to go to yesterday.
Oh.
And there was a bug house and a butterfly house, which sadly, the butterfly house was closed off because it was under construction because the tornado hit it.
Oh my god.
I was so upset. I was like, God dang it.
Oh no.
It's okay though. The insectarium was open and I had a ball with that.
My favorite butterfly is the lorikeet.
Is this why you're casted as Kinger?
Yes. Do you know what a lorikeet is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a bird.
So one of my, my partner and I just went to a butterfly house the other day, but one of the first like feed creatures I ever went to was a lorikeet area, and my wife despises them, and she only went in there because she's like, I'll do it for you. And the lorikeets thought her hair was very colorful, so one flew into her hair, got stuck, and started screeching, and she was screeching, and I was trying to help, and by help I mean laughing my butt off and just watching from afar.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Amber here, just to give them an introduction for you. They are a mixed media artist for Mob Entertainment, so they work on Poppy Playtime, but they also are an entomologist. So I thought, ooh, this would be fun.
Oh my god, I love getting entomas.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
That's what they have you do before you go into the butterfly house, right? You get an entoma so that like they don't end up seeking refuge in your butthole, and then you're carrying out endangered species when you leave. Tibbers is looking at the clock going, it has been 5 minutes since this interview started and I have an hour 55 to go. God help us all.
I can't breathe.
Oh, if you have trouble breathing, we might have to give you an oral entoma. Yeah, that's when you get an entoma, they put a poopa up you, right? When it comes there's the larval stage, there's the poopa stage.
Oh my god.
Then they turn into a crapsulus, and then finally a butterfly.
Sean, mercy.
I am crying, everybody. You can't see this. I'm not turning my camera on.
The circle of life is so beautiful.
Yeah. When you put it that way, it sure is.
Oh my god.
Well, Sean, can you let us know what your pronouns are and what you do exactly?
I am a problem. It's he, him.
I'm a problem. I love it. That is the best answer we've ever gotten.
I am pro nouns. I'm pro verbs. I'm pro adjectives. I think language is beautiful, as the last 5 minutes have evidenced.
Oh, loud and clear.
I am he, him. Yes.
Oh god.
I feel like I feel like there is a joke to be made about every actor's pronouns being yes and.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So, what sparked your interest in voice acting?
A lot of cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. So, this is a story I tell very frequently. The funny part about what inspired my interest in voice acting is that I think it was always there. Like, it existed before I even knew what it was. And when I say it was there, I mean my brother and I would, when we were way younger, would play Nintendo 64 games that had dialogue but no actual voice acting. Stuff like Bomberman 64: The Second Attack, or you could technically count Banjo-Kazooie, even though, because it was just noises and stuff like that. And we would take turns doing voices for these characters, and then I would watch cartoons like Dexter's Lab, and it never occurred to me that this was a thing, that like real people were doing this. If you asked me, like, what did you think was creating the voices for the cartoon, I wouldn't be able to tell you because it wasn't something I was giving any thought to. And so I was involved in the practice of doing voice acting before I even figured it out. And it took one evening during Christmas break in high school when I was, as always, being a night owl, staying up, doing stuff on like Neopets and Adult Swim and MapleStory, all of the classic, ADHD time sinks. And it took me discovering by pure chance a behind-the-scenes video showing a voice actor dubbing a scene from one of the anime that was airing on Toonami at the time, and literally seeing, it was a 2-camera setup, but literally seeing the clip being dubbed and the actor saying the line at the same time that the clip was playing, for me to go, oh, this is something that people do. This is something that I think I want to do. And that was significant because at that point in time in high school, everyone was getting pressured to figure out what they wanted to major in college. And I was not failing my classes. I was doing pretty darn well for being in college prep and advanced placement classes. But I did not care about any of my subjects enough to want to spend an additional 4 years. I did not care. And this was the first time I cared about something, and more so that I cared about something not because someone was telling me that I was supposed to care about it. It was a pure self-discovery that I wanted to learn more about. And I'm grateful that it feels like that passion has never left. It has its own amounts of stress. It has its own amounts of self-doubt. It has its drama. It has its industry troubles. It has its strikes. But I almost call it Stockholm Syndrome. Half seriously, I call it Stockholm Syndrome because I cannot fathom not doing this. If I were to send a message to my agencies and say, for the next month, do not send me auditions. Like, I don't want to hear about it. I want to take a break. I don't want to worry about what I'm missing out on. Just don't send me anything. Within a week, I would be going crazy, wondering what opportunities I missed out on. It is an innate part of me at this point.
I definitely feel you on that. A lot of the time I keep myself busy on the daily, and if I were to just stop at any point, I feel like what am I missing out on for like all of these wonderful opportunities that are actually being cooked up right now?
Right.
I really want to help out. I really want to.
I'd even say part of it is even fear. Like, I'll be honest, like, I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone has a majority where they're like, oh, I do this because I love the craft. And I do love the craft. I don't want that to be pushed to the side. But also, I have worked enough of those desk jobs, enough of those office jobs to know that I flail miserably at them. I cannot do the same task for 8 hours if I'm not super invested in it. And I'm also at an age where even when I try to game for 8 hours on a game I enjoy, I start falling asleep. So there's also this fear of like, if I don't make voice acting work out for me, I may have to find a backup job that I keep getting fired from because I keep falling asleep. So there's also that drive to be like, this works for you. Don't screw it up.
I actually remember us talking about that over lunch. I know it was dinner, I think, because I was talking about how I've been working in cybersecurity for, it'll be 12 years this August, actually in a few days actually. And I'm just like, I'm tired of doing this, but it pays the bills. But I would rather be voice acting, doing the things that I want to do. But you were just like, you have a good job. Like you basically reminded me that, hey, you're making good money right now. other opportunities will come along. Don't worry, they will. But keep doing what you're doing. Don't let it go just yet, because you never know what's going to happen. It was a good discussion. Anywho, so did you always see yourself becoming a voice actor? Did you have other career plans in mind until that thought finally broke in and said, yes, this is what I want to do?
So I will say outright that voiceover was a very sudden discovery, like I mentioned. Like there was no part of me that I was aware it was a thing, and then as soon as I was aware it was a thing, it was over for me. Like there was no going back at that point. Prior to that, I did want to be a veterinarian because I loved animals, and then I realized that being a veterinarian meant dealing with blood and broken bones and death, and I went, never mind. And then at one point I considered being a I don't know what the term is, like an aquatic technician, like someone who does like works with sea animals or dolphins, because my dad really was interested in that at one point. And then I realized that also involved a lot of biology and was also effectively being a water veterinarian, which meant seeing blood and broken bones and death. And I went, okay, maybe not that. And so going into high school, like I said, I just did the work that was in front of me, but I had no alignment of what I wanted to do with my life. And that is part of why I was so grateful for VO, because it came out of nowhere, took over, replaced everything. And thankfully, I was good enough at it that every time I had a chance to take a bigger step into it, whether that was standing in a makeshift booth with no air conditioning to record for a senior thesis project, or competing in front of a giant audience at an anime convention in a state I had never been in prior to that convention, every single time I took those bigger steps, I came out going, yeah, I love this even more. There's no part of that frightened me. I want to be even deeper in this. So... yeah, it was a very interesting way that I fell into it, but I am so glad that I found it.
That's so cool to hear.
You've had a rich career in voiceover, anime, games, indie projects, web animation, etc. How has your creative process evolved across all of these mediums?
So, man, I know that long answers are okay, but I'm going to do my best to try and make a cohesive answer out of this. No, I'm serious. When it comes to actual voiceover stuff, I get very serious because I take this job seriously. So you said, how has my creative process evolved over time, correct?
Yes. So
it varies based on project. So I would say the biggest part, first of all, is building self-confidence, because when I started in VO, I hated my own voice. And I hope that a lot of people can both find empathy in that by going, oh my gosh, I feel the same way, but then also recognize that at some point I had to learn to love my own voice. And I do recognize what strengths my voice provides. So for people listening go, I could never be a voice actor, I hate my own voice, you have to understand there was a point in time where I was pitching my voice down by like 2 entire octaves because I thought it was too high pitched to sound cool for whatever job that I was doing. So getting past that and going, hey, there are character types that I can do really well because of my voice, and learning to accept my strengths and recognize my strengths, and then go, hey, if I want to play deeper voice characters, that's something that I can work on, but I can't do that by hiding my own voice and forcing myself into a different pitch, because that's just putting on a voice and not portraying a character, if that makes sense. The other major thing, I feel like a lot of people, when they answer this question, explore it from, how do I get into character? But I want folks to recognize that there's a technical aspect to this career as well. And understanding how to navigate auditions is just as important as the creative process itself. So the other major thing that I discovered was you are allowed to cheat in whatever way you feel is necessary when it comes to auditions. Now, I mean cheating in terms of putting yourself into the right headspace. I don't mean have someone else record for you and then say, oh, this is my voice, and then it's like someone of a completely different gender expression that like is 5 octaves higher than you, and you're like, yeah, that was me. But what I mean is, if you are reading a script and you can tell that it's a very somber scene, like if it says that they're sitting by a campfire at nighttime, put on some music, put on something from Skyrim, put on something that sets the mood and makes you feel melancholy or makes you feel jovial. Or if it's a character who's supposed to be annoyingly bubbly, put on, you know, that like stock supermarket music on YouTube, the stuff that goes do 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 do, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right. Put it on and let that music inspire you of like, oh, this is what's going on in this character's head the entire time, because you will be surprised how driven we are as people to pattern recognition, to music, to notes. We are very emotional creatures, whether we want to admit it or not. Sorry, I'm getting so involved that I'm forgetting to hydrate. So
No, this is
that
good.
is so recognizing all of these ways that I can influence and trick my own brain to put myself into a scene before it's even happened. I wouldn't even call it cheating, because let's say I'm auditioning for a video game. In the final product, they're going to have, a nighttime scene. They're going to have music playing in the background to emphasize whatever monologue a character is saying. So why not play the part before you've actually gotten the part? And when it comes to, because when you send in auditions for characters, oftentimes they will allow you for you to do multiple takes. Most of the time they'll limit you to 2. Sometimes they'll allow up to 3. The only time I've ever heard them ask for more is if it's like a one-line thing and they want you to provide multiple different options to showcase a number of different ways this character could be played. And what I used to do was, I would read the specs of the project, I'd read all the details, and then I would do my 2 takes. But I found that I was often delivering it the same exact way. I thought it sounded different, but if I went back to it the following day and I played the file, it was not very different, if different at all. So what I have noticed is, what I will start doing is, I will look at the character and I will look at the lines, and I will just, based on my gut feeling, I will do my first take on what feels fun for me, what feels right, what I would have fun with something that I noticed about them that I want to play up. And then after I've done the take that is fun for me, I will actually read the details of the audition and go, okay, how much of this aligns with what I already did, or how is it wildly different? Because even if it's wildly different, I can always send the take that better matches the character description as my take 1, and then send the one that I did as take 2, and now they're getting 2 completely different takes, which, even if that second take is not what they're looking for, it's going to speak better to my adaptability than if I sent them 2 takes that sound exactly the same, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
So all of this combined, it's a constant learning process. This isn't like something where it's like, oh, in year 3, I gained this ability, like it's Ori and the Blind Forest or, Hollow Knight. It is this constant learning process of things that I discover along the way, or techniques that I pick up from someone that I worked with in a different studio. And as they combine, it creates a more efficient, creative process. And some of it is pure muscle memory. When I portray characters that are higher pitch, I'm grateful that I'm still able to play younger, higher pitch characters, but I know that there's limitations to what my throat can do. So if a character needs to shout or scream something, I have found that it is easier if I have them play the reference for me and I chase it immediately afterwards, because I have muscle memoried how to imitate a specific placement of my voice, versus if I'm just coming in raw and trying to guess how intense I need it to be. So that is something where personally I've gone, okay, I know I'm really good at parroting things. If people want me to just match what I'm hearing, I'm really good at repeating back what I've heard. So if I need to do something that is going to be stressful for my throat, it's easier for me to parrot what the reference is doing instead of just trying to do it from scratch and have it come out clean.
That is all like really good points. And I was actually doing an audition that I got sent last week and got a call back for, and I listened back to those files the next day, and I'm like, I actually really did deliver these the same exact way, and that's something I've been trying to get better at, because I tend to do that quite often. But no, I love the fact that you're talking about all the good stuff that I don't really get to talk about acting often. So like, I'm a method actor, so like and I hate that I keep bringing up this musical every freaking interview, but
hey, if you're passionate about it, go for it.
Exactly. I got to play Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors, and what I did to prepare for the role, because at the time I was going to Northern Kentucky University, I actually went on the streets of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I just spent some time downtown trying to get in that mindset of what it would be like living in this type of situation, because I do come from a poor family, but it's a different type of situation when it comes to that story. So I wanted to be in that mindset in order to portray it a lot better than what Rick Moranis did in the film, or others actors on Broadway have. I wanted to do my own take on it from the Midwest. So like that was important to me. Like I doing that type of stuff, listening to music, getting those mediums around you that help you get in that mindset before you go into doing a role. It really helps, and it's something people, I don't think they think about. They just go right into it.
I agree with all of that. I think I don't want to say that there's a correct process for everyone to do, but I think that understanding how you work is one of the most important methods because, and I'll probably end up touching on this several times. I'll probably end up touching on this several times throughout the interview, but one of the big realizations I think people fail to make is that it is great to be the absolute best at your job. I'm sure there are plenty of inspirational people that we look up to and go, oh my God, if I could be as good as them one day. And that's something to work towards. You know, learning is a lifelong process. But there are untold amounts of opportunities that go to people who are not the absolute best choice, who probably have someone that could perform the role better, but the person they picked is available, is easy to work with, is professional, and is good and or great enough at their job that they get the client what they need in the first place. And I hate using myself as an anecdote, but I recognize the fact that I work often enough that there are colleagues of mine who I'm sure would love to be as busy as I happen to be at times. But there have been projects that I have been hired on without ever auditioning, and the director or engineer has explicitly told me that it was a foregone conclusion because what they needed was someone who could cover a number of different roles authentically. They didn't need it to be an Oscar-winning performance. They just needed something that would help build the scene and create the environment for the player character. And the team, or they went, just bring in Sean Chiplock because we know that he can cover that. We know that he can get it done. We know that he can adapt really quickly. And it was never about whether I was the best choice. It was, he's going to make this job easier for all of us. And that is the goal that people should shoot for, because if you are easy to work with and you are efficient and you make everyone else's job easier, you are way more marketable than someone who is the absolute best at what they do, but is a pain in the ass to work with.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you voiced major characters like Reen Schwarzer, Subaru, and Diluc. When you are handed a character with such a complex arc, how do you emotionally ground them?
Well, Reen was a very important role for me because he was a character where the actor that I was when I started playing him is not the actor that I was, that I have done nowadays. And Reen, as a character, is not the same as he was, between the first game and the most recent one that he's in. So Reen was literally a case where I, as a person, as an actor, grew up alongside the character. It was a match made in heaven where with each new iteration of the game, not only was Reen coming more to terms with his experiences and who he was as a person, but I was able to take everything that I had learned between each game from my own studies and my own performances and my own growth and reapply it to better represent him as a character. And it's I'm so grateful for it because I don't know if it would have worked out if I had already come in on the first game with all the knowledge that I have now. Reen in the first game was inexperienced and optimistic. I was also very optimistic as an actor, but also still inexperienced. Reen in the newest game is way more knowledgeable and way more at peace with himself, even though he has worries about the world around him. And literally just one for one, that also happens to be me. So when we talk about just getting grounded with characters in general, this is why I like VO so much, is because it's like a puzzle that isn't too mean to you. And it gets easier the more you've been in the craft, because when I get a role, and I'm in the booth, first of all, the engineer is there to make me sound good. The director has already talked with the client about the direction they're going for. The client knows more about this project than I'm ever going to know. And this is not them putting me in a booth and going, okay, perform, monkey. They're there to teach me and tell me what this world is like, to give me the information that I need to interpret it and make an educated decision on how my interpretation of the character would react to those situations, to those stimuli. And they're there to be surprised. If it's a little off the mark, they can redirect me to closer to what their original vision was. It's a collaborative process. But my part coming in is I go, okay, what are the aspects of this character that I recognize or that I identify with? Is this character very prideful? Okay, are they proud because they have worked really hard? Are they proud because they come from, a wealthy family and they need to keep up appearances? Are they proud because they should have died and they survived and they know that they can handle things that other people take for granted? Once I have that information, it forms a foundation that I can use for my performance. But I also go, okay, what is unfamiliar? What is it that I'm not sure about? What is it that I'm going to be exploring? How might I explore it as a person? Does that line up with how this character is described? Like, if this person is prideful and then something happens that shakes their pride, based on what I know about them, are they more likely to be a glass cannon where if the pride is ever shaken, they crumple to the ground because that's all they've ever had to rely on? Or is it so strong that they act as an emotional rock where other characters may have moments of weakness? What is their role in the story? And if there's something I'm not sure about, I'm allowed to ask. I'm allowed to go, hey, can you give me more information on this? Or can you tell me how the character would react in this situation? Asking questions it's very funny. Newer actors and experienced actors share something that middle ground actors tend to lack. And that is newer actors ask all sorts of questions because they don't know a lot yet and they're very curious. And then once they get some experience and they're middle ground, they get afraid because they go, oh, if I'm asking a lot of questions, it's going to suggest that I haven't done my research or I haven't read the material or I haven't, God forbid, watched an entire playthrough of the previous game in this franchise before I came in to record. So I'm going to just, they're expecting me to bring the performance. So I'm just going to do my best and hope it works. Versus an experienced performer going, asking questions shows that I'm invested. It shows that I care. It shows that I have done research because now I'm asking follow-up questions about things that require a base amount of knowledge to even ask that question in the first place. So they realize that participating in that collaborative process helps make everyone's job easier. So all of that comes together where I look at what's familiar, I ask what is unfamiliar, I see if that's something that I can explore in the moment or if it's something I want to ask questions about, and I remember at the end of the day that everyone is there to work on something together, like we're all coming from a place of passion. So we're allowed to make mistakes, we're allowed to try something and go, no, that's not working. Happens all the time. There are so many cases, especially in anime dubbing, where I will say a line and go, something feels weird with this. Can I try it with a different wording? And we do it again and go, oh yeah, that is way better. And with experience, I've gotten to the point where if I have a close enough relationship with the director or with the engineer, I can go, okay, I'm gonna say something different, but let me know if it works for you. And 85% of the time they go, yeah, that sounds better than what we had written. Let's go with that.
That's really good advice. It's really good advice. I'm probably known for asking too many questions because I love asking questions because I want to get things right.
No, same here. Like this is I'm like silently taking notes in my brain because like this is really important stuff and gosh.
I have to hydrate between each answer.
Yeah, hydrate or dihydrate.
All right. With such an expensive body of work, is there a role you feel personally connected to? One that still sticks with you emotionally?
I genuinely appreciate that you asked the question that way because often the way it is asked is, what is your favorite role? And that is a very difficult question to answer because the honest to gosh truth is there is no favorite role and there's a good reason for that. But
Yep.
the question you asked is, which character I feel I identify with or I'm connected with the most, if you want to repeat it for me.
Like one that still kind of sticks with you emotionally.
It
Like
definitely has to be Subaru. It's
Subaru.
100% Natsuki from ReZero. Are either or both of you familiar with the series?
Oh, I have heard of that. I have yet to watch that though.
I'm in the same boat. Yeah.
Really, I promise it's not biased because of me being the main character. It is at the time that it came out, it was a turn on the head of every overdone isekai that had come out at the time. Konosuba was also good, but that was because it was an actually funny isekai. It went the comedic route and ReZero went the serious route.
Mhm.
And it is a show that the first season is all about how self-absorbed the main character is and him being brought to reality. The second season is all about everyone except him, and it's a very exposition heavy season, but it's important because the third season you come into it with this newfound appreciation for everyone in the main cast, not just Subaru, everyone, because you've learned all of their backstories and their motivations. And then season 3 is just all of them working in teams to beat the shit out of bad guys. It's so good. It is so good. But anyway, Subaru is the case where more often than any other role, I wasn't really acting, because Subaru tends to get in over his head because he doesn't want other people to take on burdens that he wants to try and take care of himself. He feels a deep sense of loyalty to people that he feels indebted to, or that he believes are good people who should be rewarded or being dealt a bad hand in life. He struggles a lot with figuring out the best way to do things and trying to, manage expectations and manage difficulty so that things don't get worse. So he tends to do way more thinking than he does action, unless he's compelled into action. In season 2, there were very tough scenes that I had to do because in 2 separate instances, without spoiling what happens, he has a rare opportunity to have what might be his final conversation with people in his life that he may never see again. And I already had to do that once with my mom, and I think often about, the growing likelihood of having to do something like that with my dad, who's getting on in years. And it was very tough to approach that and basically practice it or relive it all over again. And also, a huge part of that series is him dealing with this fear of death. And even though he gets to come back over and over and over again, that doesn't make the deaths any less painful or any less frightening or him any less scared when he's in a situation where he realizes I could end up dead at the end of this. And that is something I really identify with, because I've never understood people who are like, oh, I've lived a long life, I'm ready for whatever happens next. I'm scared of what happens next because I don't know. I like what I have here. I enjoy the people I have. I enjoy the opportunities that I have. So of course I'm going to want to stick with what I know rather than throwing it away and going, yeah, I'm down for something that could be completely different and unexpected. So Subaru as a person is someone that I identify a lot with, and that's part of what makes it so fun and what makes my performance so authentic. And I think it's also part of what makes people uncomfortable when they watch the show, is because they see elements of this character that maybe they also identify with, but they don't like that they see themselves in him, and that they react negatively to that. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this now.
Yeah, I have to watch this now too.
Note, watch the damn show.
This is a threat.
I have so many shows that I literally have this line written next to.
What is wrong with my brain today?
You're fine. Takes my shoulders
so
and
what's wrong
holds.
with your brain is actually a multi-layered complex process. So it starts with me going in the booth, and they present me the script that has your inner thoughts, and I look at it and go, what the fuck is this? And the engineer goes, I don't know, we just got to work with it. Step 2 is coming up with an idea of how we're going to portray the character that represents your inner thoughts. Now, granted, this has never existed before or since, and the project that it's in is going to get immediately canceled, because as soon as they see what your inner thoughts are comprised of, it's going straight into the bargain bin at Walmart. I'm talking like, buy one and we pay you to take it out of the store level of discount. And then third and final is Netflix is going to pick it up and do a terrible live action adaptation of it, and they're going to hire Chris Pratt to play your character.
Oh, but in the animation, Max is going to play you.
Right, and it's gonna be called Social Entima.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry.
Okay.
I don't know how to take this.
Oh, the bargain bin at Walmart. That's funny though, is that we have a picture of you sitting in a shopping cart at Walmart.
Oh no. I forgot about that.
Yeah. It's so funny. All right, moving on. Do you have a favorite genre to work in? Fantasy, horror, sci-fi, or does it all come down to the character?
I love being a whore. No.
I'm screaming.
I would say when I was younger, when I was first getting into it, I was definitely a huge fan of JRPGs because I loved the idea. Well, like when we played Tales, did you play Tales of Symphonia? Did you have a childhood?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good to know.
I did not have a childhood.
You've seen the meme video of Zelos going, Demon Fang, Demon Fang. Damn,
No, I have
I must
not.
be a genius. Double Demon Fang. Anyway, I
I have
love
not
the
seen
fact
that.
that I love the fact that these characters had like callouts that they would say their attack as they did it, and that would like empower the ability that they were using. Jade Curtis's indignation chant was one of my favorite things of all time. I would recite that from memory over and over and over again. So I wanted to be in projects where I would get to do those kinds of callouts, and that's why Reen Schwarzer was in part such a big deal for me. You know, getting to do like 8 leaves, 1 blade, breaking dawn, you know, something like that. I love that kind of stuff. But I would say, oh, this is hard. Do I prefer the genre or do I prefer the character? I would say, because I will never turn down work that I feel that I'm a good fit for. I want to say it's the genre, because while I have worked in horror stuff, while I've worked in JRPGs, while I've worked in audiobooks, while I've worked in kids media, I do know that JRPGs I enjoy just because of the aesthetic, because there's a much higher chance of otherworldly things that aren't possible in real life just being their reality, and it's fun to explore that. But also because I have a very high natural level of energy, and it lends itself extremely well to children's media. I
Mhm.
excel at things where I need to have this natural enthusiasm and be able to paint a story and act like I'm a part of it. There's literally an audiobook series that I'm working on right now where the client was fully expecting that I was just going to do a standard narrator thing where it's like, I do the narration of the main text, and then when I do a female voice, I slightly go higher. And when I do a male voice, I go slightly lower, but I don't adjust it much. But on this project, I am putting on accents. I have like vocal references for each character that I keep consistent every time that they are saying a line. And the client is like, we didn't even need you to put this much effort into it, but we are blown away by how fun this all sounds, and like we want you to do more of these books. We want to hire you for this promo, and that's the kind of thing that I live for, is clients going, we didn't even need it to be this committed, this enthusiastic to hire somebody, but the fact that you're doing it is making us excited, and that's always a good feeling to have.
That's so good.
I love that.
Oh my. Let's talk about your work in the Legend of Zelda series, specifically voicing Rivali, Teba, and the Great Deku Tree. What was it like stepping into such an iconic franchise, and how did you approach voicing characters from such a legendary world?
I was scared shitless. People were like, when you found out that you were going to be the voice of Rivali, you know, in a voiced canon Zelda game, how excited were you? And I was like, I grew up during the era of the CDI games, okay? I grew up during the era of CDI game YouTube poops, and that was the only other instance of voices existing in a Zelda game. So my immediate thought was, if you screw this up, everyone is going to use you as a reference for why they never should have tried this a second time. Rivali actually made me cry. I was... so a lot of people don't know this, but originally the Great Deku Tree was the only role that I was cast as, and there's a whole story tied to that. But I think what happened was Rivali had been cast as someone else, and then the client wanted to go in a different direction, and it wasn't working out anymore, so they were having other people try out for it as well. And the voice I was doing for Rivali was working, but the way that I was delivering it was not quite what they were looking for at the time. I didn't have enough knowledge. Again, they knew that Rivali was prideful because he had trained himself on the mountain, and he was like, I am capable of protecting, you know, the land of Hyrule. Why should I be subservient to some rando who showed up who hasn't shown his skill yet? I have no reason to trust him. I didn't know that at the time, so I was kind of going for more of the performance prideful of like, I am convincing you that I am the best. And I was struggling so much with changing the direction of the character and understanding what they were asking of me that I was terrified they were going to recast him again. And I was like, I know that I can do this character justice, and it's frustrating me so much that I'm missing the mark on this. So I hope that they keep working with me instead of just, saying I failed and trying again with somebody else. So it was a very tough process. That was the project where I had to learn to like be willing to let go of the reins and just let the director tell me what to do every step of the way if I needed that much assistance. And then once I felt like I had a better handle on the character, I could ask for those reins back and go, all right, now I think I can lend my creative side to this process. So yeah, I took the job extremely seriously. I was not as relaxed as I think a lot of people want to assume. And in fact, it wasn't until the game had been out for a couple of months and the general online vibe was either the voice acting doesn't suck, or even better, Rivali is one of my favorite performances out of everybody, that I was finally able to go, okay, I think I'm allowed to, to be proud of my work at this point.
I am not gonna lie, I'm gonna admit, I did not know that you voiced Rivali. No, I did not. That is super cool.
Hee.
Oh my gosh.
If you could have told me back in, I don't remember, when did this game come out? 2016, 2017, something around that time, that I would be sitting and talking with the voice actor Rivali in 2025, I'd have been like, you're funny.
Apparently it still happens. Like, there's people I know who will be like, my friend realized who you were the other day, and when I told them that I'm friends with you, they were like, you're bullshitting me. There's no way. That's not possible. So, their friends find out that they know me or are friends with me, and they think they're messing with them, and they're like, he's just another person, right? Like, yeah. He's allowed to have friends, so
he's a wee little guy.
Yeah, he's a wee little guy.
Yeah.
I'm an ethereal existence. I'm just in the web until they turn a mic on, and then I exist from that point.
Mommy Longlegs put him in the web.
What?
Okay, so Rivali in particular has such a distinct energy. Cocky, sharp, but also heroic. Did you pull from anything in particular to shape his personality?
Did I pull from anything in particular? Like I said, he was a really rough character for me to figure out. And I think he was a case where I ended up relying on posture, on body posture. When I struggled to figure out what to do, I handed the reins over to the director, and then I tried to stand like I imagined the character would stand, or in cases where we were dubbing to picture, I was like, okay, I have a visual reference that I can use. So I literally would tuck my hands behind my back and fold them over each other like I imagined his wings would be folded over, and then I would kind of stand in a way where I was puffing out my chest the way his chest would be sticking out, and I let the physicality put me in a mental state the way that I recommended using music during auditions. And then once I felt like I understood why he carried himself the way that he did, I was able to then combine it with the posture that I was already doing to inform my choices going forward from then on.
That's so cool. It really is. It really is. I'm so happy to hear this. But I'll admit this. Here's the thing. I love Breath of the Wild. I have never finished it. I have such bad ADHD.
I bought the $200 Master Edition when it first came out, and the only part of it I ever used was the Switch case.
That's okay. I mean, I still have games I haven't even touched that I've bought, but I love it. It's a great game. It really is. I just have really bad ADHD, and it's like when I played Skyrim, I couldn't even do it because there's so many things happening all around me. I was just like, I got overwhelmed, and it was the same thing with that one. I beat every section up until you have to go and fight Ganon, and I'm just like, well, I'm done now. Mm-hmm. That's where it stops every time. But it's such a fun game, and to know that you've voiced characters in it, and I'm sitting here talking with you now, it's just like mind is blown.
For real. Oh my gosh. I have a few friends of mine that absolutely love Rivali. And they would flip out.
And that's great, because now that their standards have hit rock bottom, everything else is an improvement.
I'm screaming.
I'm also screaming.
Oh, you're like, it's me, I'm friends.
But I mean, if anything, look at the furry fandom and how much Rivali has inspired it. The amount of fursuits that have come from that specific species and that character, like I didn't know. I didn't know until I looked it up.
I have avian friends who have told me that Breath of the Wild and Rivali, like, yes, you'd have folks like the Animal Crossing villagers that would be like, oh, we're eating good tonight for the avian community. But they said specifically, I'm only repeating what they said. So if you have to cut this, this is fine. But they said Breath of the Wild was the avian furry fandom's 9/11. After that character, that side of the community was never the same again. It was like the TSA screening being implanted where like everyone, so many people were joining the fandom that specifically joined it because of Breath of the Wild, being like, I'm not a furry, but these birds are hot. That it changed the entire environment. I wouldn't know what the environment used to be because I wasn't part of the avian community. But what they said was it was just the closeness or like the way that it was run or the types of meetups that we would have. All of that burned to the ground once Breath of the Wild came out.
Oh my god.
I want to find out if the same thing happened with the aquatic side of the furry fandom, because Prince Sidon also blew up too.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then Rauru came out and they're like, sir, a second furry has hit the fandom.
It's really funny. Okay. Is there a role or project that fans don't talk about enough that you really loved being a part of? I would love for you to shine some light on that.
All of the roles that I can't talk about yet. I really feel like there are a number of projects that I have finished my recording for, or I'm close to finishing my recording for, that haven't even been announced publicly yet. And my biggest fear is that when they come out, people will move on from them way too quickly. For example, Crystal Chronicles, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remaster S was a huge deal for me because the original Crystal Chronicles was a huge part of my childhood. And among other characters, I voiced Stiltskin. Are either of you familiar with Crystal Chronicles?
No.
No, I'm not.
Without going into too much detail, Stiltskin, the game is full of a lot of, it's based around memories and events. And it is possible to beat the game without ever experiencing some of those memories or events. You'll eventually see them all if you play the game long enough, but this is me saying you're not guaranteed to experience every single event that someone else experiences. Stiltskin is an NPC who you cannot miss. He exists from the very beginning. You can do a tutorial with him. At every major milestone of your progress through the story, you will run into him and can get info from him. And I believe he actually has the very last new piece of dialogue in the game before you enter the infinite gameplay loop of like, you can keep playing, but there's nothing new that you're going to experience, you know? And that was such a big deal for me to be a part of the player's journey. The game itself was not massively popular. It was fun for the niche group of people that loved the original game, and its accessibility meant that more people discovered it for the first time, but it wasn't a big hit, and so not a lot of people talk about it. There is a project right now that I'm working on that, just because of how long it had already been out in other countries and how long it has taken to localize that project, when it comes out, it will already be one iteration behind the most recent iteration, if that makes sense. Like, basically, it won't even be the newest version of this franchise. There's already a newer version of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm bummed out about that because I am so proud of the work I've done on it, and I am willing to bet that most people are going to go, oh, I didn't even know that they localized this. I mean, we're already on to the next thing, but that's cool, you know, for people who want to experience it. So yeah, this happens a lot with games where I voice a role in a spin-off. Like, for example, if there's a main game series that's known for being like an RPG, and maybe there's a spin-off game in that same franchise that's a turn-based strategy, and so everyone pays attention to the main game series, but maybe not so much to the spin-off games. And I will be in the spin-off game rather than the main series. So
That's really interesting. But I'm excited to see what all you got coming, because everything that you have done has been amazing.
I am particularly excited because part of what got me more involved with the furry fandom, besides my appreciation of its support of LGBT and its creativity aura, I should call it, is because I saw an opportunity for my career to overlap where it could be like, oh, I'm not a suit creator, I'm not an artist, I'm not a poppy fur, but maybe if I happen to voice more animal characters or voice in games that would be considered furry coded or furry friendly, then I can talk about that and have like that as a point of entry into the fandom. And I can say for certain that there is at least 1, 2, 3 different projects where I voice roles that I would consider to be furry coded that I am extremely excited. And one of them I would say is even directly related to the furry fandom. Like not even oh, this was made by a different company and they're not tied to the furry fandom, but we accept this. We accept this as part of our community. There's at least one role I can think of is this is a furry project made by someone in the fandom and it is furry characters and I am in it. So
I love that.
Wow.
And I know that because I'm friends with Fox in the Fedora. I know that you've done a few things for him on his little series that he does, and I was like, it's just really cool knowing that even.
Yes. He was extremely happy with what I did for that project, and I'm noticing that I'm getting more opportunities as of late. So I'm very hopeful that that trend can continue.
So, has there ever been a moment during recording, funny, weird, or unexpectedly deep, that made you go, "This is why I love this job"?
I gave birth to a baby Jesus chicken noodle.
What?
So, did either of you play Last of Us 2?
I know Last of Us, but I've never played the games.
I have
So
them,
I
have not
voiced-
played them yet.
I voiced one of the Seraphites, which is part of one of the cult members, and we had to do all sorts of battle efforts, getting a knife to the stomach, getting an axe chop to the back of the head, being used as a human meat shield, and being shot by my own teammates and stuff like that. And I'm very good at making visceral sounds, but depending on the type of sound, I tend to have a very weak gag reflex. And during one of those efforts, as I was making, I think it was, the action was, they're holding you in front of them to use you as a meat shield, and you're choking in the process because the choking is preventing you from fighting back. And then they slit your throat with their knife before throwing you aside, so now you're choking to death on your own blood. This is a real thing that I had to record the efforts for. It was like a 7-second long thing. And as I'm finishing that effort, I feel something solid in my throat. And I go, oh no. So I turn, I instinctively cup my hands in front of my mouth to hopefully not mess up the script or mess up the music stand that it's sitting on. And it pops out, and out comes a single undigested bow tie chicken noodle from the soup that I had had a couple hours before the session. And I'm looking at it with disgust and amusement, and I turn and I dump it into the garbage and then get some hand sanitizer. And I comment and I go, hey, I just want to let you know I had a little something come up. I'm okay. You didn't do anything to me. That was self-inflicted, but maybe you want to spray down the music stand before the next session just so that the next person doesn't have to deal with that. And they said, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And they go, okay, well, I just want to let you know 2 things. Number 1, you are not the first, nor will you be the last person that this sort of thing has happened to. So welcome to the club. And he goes, however, you are the first person out of everyone that has happened to so far who stayed on mic the entire time you were making those noises before you upchucked the noodle. So we have them recorded, and we checked them, and they're good. So, they're clean. So with your permission, we're going to hold on to them and probably use them in the game.
Oh my gosh.
So if you get around to playing the game and you slit someone's throat with a knife and they actually sound like they are choking on something solid in their throat, you may have in fact played the Easter egg chicken noodle Jesus recording.
Applause.
Noted. Oh my god. And this is in The Last of Us 2?
Yes. Oh, there is, okay, I have a story I can tell about a project that hasn't happened yet. It's unfortunate that they're both about battle efforts, but I do want to also be able to get on to other questions.
Yeah.
I went in for a different session on a project I can't talk about yet. And this time around, I noticed that on the table where they usually have tea or other stuff for you to make, whatever you need to do to maintain your voice, there was a towel, a spoon, and a 6-pack of sugar-free strawberry gelatin. And I went, what the hell is this? And they go, well, today we're going to do battle efforts that include, like, you know, having something caught in your throat or, you know, choking on your own blood. And we have found that gelatin is less it's less risky because if you get water in your lungs, it's really bad. But your body knows to, like, if you get food like gelatin, it's easy to cough it back up because it's a solid or it's a squishy solid. And they went, we found that we get the noises we want when there's something actually in your throat. And I went, okay, so I'm basically trapping and holding food in that small space between my esophagus and the back of my throat to kind of get that, like, blocked gurgly noise. You know what I'm talking about? You've probably felt it when you have, like, phlegm in your throat, and when you cough, you can feel that it creates a different sound, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know what the towel is for, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's for, like, wiping my mouth or something like that. So I take a spoonful and I grab a decent amount of the gelatin and I put it in my mouth and I kind of move it around and I figure out where I'm going to hold it. And they're like, let us know when you're ready. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. You know, like, because it's in my throat. And we do the first effort and it goes beep, beep, beep. And I push the effort to make that first noise. And the gelatin rockets out of my mouth like a jet propelled bullet, hits the corner of the booth and shatters into several pieces from the sheer force with which it was ejected from my mouth. And I went, oh, I understand what the towel is for. It's to catch the gelatin when it leaves my face so it doesn't paint the studio and all of the surrounding area. So over the course of those 2 hours, all 6 cups of Jell-O were consumed slowly. And when I was done, the towel that I had been using looked like I was a child in the Middle Ages dying of, you know, some airborne lung infection hacking up blood into the sheet. So.
Oh my god.
Wow. You know, it works. I would have made it more fun just to give everybody Jell-O shots.
Maybe. I've always wondered sometimes, like, what being not blackout drunk, but just moderately drunk would do for a performance, you know?
Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to aspiring voice actors who are just starting out, especially those looking to bring both emotion and variety to their performances like you do?
Don't do it. Don't get into voice acting. I say that half seriously because if you hear that sort of phrase and it gives you doubts of, like, oh, if even he's telling me that it's stressful and unpredictable and relentless and exhausting and he doesn't have time for anything anymore, then maybe that's a sign that you should pursue something that you'd have more fun with. If you listen to that and go, okay, but I'm still going to, that is probably the first sign that you are passionate enough about it that, like, you want it for yourself, not because it sounds like something that's easy enough for you to get into. Yeah. So the other advice that I would give, I know most people say, oh, make sure that you take, you know, try taking a theater background, take acting classes. So I feel like enough of that advice has been given. So the other piece of advice I'm going to give to people, I'll give you an answer for who want to bring emotion and other things into their performance.
Okay.
Actually, I'll do that now and then finish with the personal advice that I feel isn't said often enough. You said folks who want to bring emotion and what else? One of the biggest misconceptions that has happened in recent years, because fucking everybody asks for this. Every commercial wants grounded, realistic reads, not actors. Every JRPG or anime is saying we're looking for grounded reads. And a lot of people, myself included, interpret grounded as suppressed or subdued. Now, granted, a suppressed emotion is almost always going to be better than a forceful emotion. If you are suppressing anger, if you are suppressing sadness, if you are suppressing despair, but it is leaking through in what you are saying, that has more emotional pull than I am angry or I am sad, because you can tell that a person has enough strength to suppress how they actually feel, but it is affecting them, and affecting them affects the audience. However, grounded does not mean that you are withholding emotion. It means your emotion and whatever you're showing has a justification for it. It is, if you are angry, ask yourself why you are angry. Are you angry because you feel betrayed? Are you angry because you feel like you could have done something to prevent this from happening and now it's too late and you are angry at yourself? Are you angry because you feel hopeless and you wish you could do something? You have no idea what you can do. If you can justify why you are saying something a certain way, that is grounded. People who are neurodivergent, in many different cases, are very expressive. They tend to express more openly and more to greater extremes than what neurotypical people do. That does not mean that neurodivergent people are not grounded. That doesn't mean they're inauthentic. That doesn't mean they're faking it. They have justification for how they feel, or they feel a certain way because of their thoughts or their motivations or their experiences. All of that is grounded. So what they mean is, whatever choice you make, have a justification for it. If you're just saying something to be angry, or if you're saying something a certain way just to sound sassy, and there isn't a motivation behind it, you're not convincing anyone, because there isn't. You can't. If someone goes, "Why did you make that choice?" and all you can say is, "Oh, I just wanted to say it that way." No, in a character's world, what they're saying, what they're experiencing is their reality. So all you need to do is make their reaction realistic, however realistic looks for them. And then the third part, the part that I was going to say regarding info that I don't think is given very often, is shut the hell up on social media. And I say this as someone who has learned that the hard way. Obviously, there are things that are worth talking about, depending on your morals and ethics. I will not shut up about, the fact that Nazis need to get the hell out of, our platforms, and that they aren't welcome in our modern society. I will not shut up about the fact that trans rights are human rights. I will not shut up about the fact that LGBT needs more awareness, that Black creators need more awareness, that minorities in general are continuing to be oppressed in various ways, and that we need to give them more opportunities. And it's not, what's the word? It's not unfair representation. It is giving them the same access that white expressing individuals have been granted without having to try for a long, long period of time, without going too much on a rant. What I mean is, there are so many instances of drama that people feel compelled to share their opinions on when they were not involved with it in the first place. Or worse, and this happens a lot, I've noticed, with video games, particularly mobile games, where people are doing stuff on social media or their social media campaigns, where players feel entitled to know what's going on with the production process, and even actors feel obligated to share what's going on with the production process with players. And neither of those is true. And it actually harmed us during the strike, because at one point, there were actors that were actively harming the strike effort because they were trying to appeal to the social media audience to basically prove why their opinion held weight, when that conversation should not have left the discussion room. It should not have been a part of the public sphere to begin with, and that sucked. And there is definitive proof that it harmed our ability to negotiate, because obviously the people we were striking against saw all this arguing happening online and just sat back and said, let's watch them eat each other alive. So I think social media has become a wonderful way for people to share their passions and for communities to continue to grow. But I also think it has become a massive curse on both the personal and the professional side of the industry. On the personal side, there is this almost constant drive to be engaging with complete strangers. It's not just about the character that you're playing. It's about interacting with fans and holding interviews and doing special events and doing promo videos. And I would say it's more difficult than ever for especially an introverted actor to say, I am just going to go in and do my work, and I want nothing to do with the community outside of it. I just want to do my work and then live my own life. And I feel like there are people who will get less opportunities because they are unable or unwilling to be the performance monkey outside of the booth as well. And on the professional side, I'm really, really worried for how easily people are giving out information that is either not necessary for complete strangers to know, or is even borderline a violation of the confidentiality agreements that we sign when we work on these projects. And I don't know how I feel about it. As someone who cherishes his alone time, as someone who really does not like the idea of having to constantly do more to market myself as an actor beyond just being good at my job, it's a very scary thing to become witness to.
Gosh, that
You're like, that's
really,
nice. Okay, next question.
No, no,
no,
sorry, I was eating a
that
cookie.
really, that really hit me hard.
No, because I think I could probably, speak for myself and probably for Amber that we're on the same page with all of that. Especially as me being a queer creator, I won't speak for Amber. Amber is a creator in their own rights. Yeah, no, those are important things, and people don't talk enough about it, and I'm glad you're saying something about it. If anything, I'm just guilty of just putting my own emotions about stuff I'm dealing with my own personal life on social media.
Yeah.
The case in point that I make is, are you familiar with an actress named Deborah Wilson?
Yes.
Not me. I don't know.
Do you know how prolific Deborah Wilson is, Tibbers?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so Tibbers can fill you in more later after this interview if you want. But
Yeah.
Deborah Wilson is basically in every AAA game you can possibly think of, either voice acting or even having their likeness modeled for CG to like be used as an in-game character model. They also, to my knowledge, do not have social media. They do not post, they do not market, they are not engaging in like fan events. They teach workshops, but you would not see them posting anything online. And yet every time that they are hosting a workshop or every time they are appearing as a special guest somewhere, the tickets for that sell out because people know they mean business. Deborah Wilson is a perfect example of the proof that you do not need social media to be successful. And I would even argue, obviously this is a generalized statement, but I would argue that the people posting the most online are doing so because they aren't working enough to be too busy to post online.
I can see that. I think for me as a creator, the big thing that I've had overcome, especially recently, is just people being parasocial as hell. I don't think people understand. Here's the thing: I'm nice to everybody, and I will talk to you. That's just who I am. But just because we talk does not mean I'm going to instantly be your best friend or accept your friend requests. And people are just not learning boundaries. Especially, I don't know why, but it's become very, very prevalent this year.
Took a peek at Deborah Wilson. Oh wow, she has definitely voiced in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
She has done a lot.
Yes. I think she's I almost want to assume she's a Don LaFontaine example, by which I mean when Don LaFontaine, he's the movie trailer guy who did the In a World, that kind of thing. When he passed away, it was 3.5 years past his death before they finally ran out of material that he had already pre-recorded for upcoming projects. I would not be surprised if when Deborah Wilson finally passes away, you continue to see or hear her for at least another 2 to 3 to 5 years because of how prolific she is as an actress.
I do not have a doubt on that.
Okay, so moving on. Tell us what your support at home looks like. Do your friends and family help keep you motivated and morale up when you're busy?
I wouldn't say they specifically keep my mood and morale up when I'm busy. I think I do a very good job of maintaining my own composure. And again, I get enjoyment out of the work that I do, especially when I do a good job. So I think it's very rare that I've ever come back from a session and been like, I'm exhausted because of this session, or I'm in a bad mood, or like I need a pick-me-up or something like that. What I would say is when nowadays, in the modern day, I would say my wife, my partner, my friends are very good about just like, I appreciate that I have such a circle of people who enjoy me as a person where I go in and I do my work and we talk about how fun the work is, but I've never had people be friends with me only because I voiced Rivali, or I've never had someone that wanted to spend time with me only because I was a voice actor or was in this project that they enjoyed, or at the very least, I think I've done a good job of, if there's someone who's like that, I've done a good job of like letting them down easy and saying, hey, I really appreciate that, but I only have enough social battery for people that are in my close inner circle, so I apologize if I can't interact with you as much as I would like to. But my close circle does a really good job of like just existing in my space. I'll spend time on the couch with my wife, or I'll go hang out with my partner, or my friends will go to conventions with me, and I think it's the fact that I can just be myself around them and not always have to be on performance mode, if that makes sense. But when I was first getting into voiceover, I do want to say that a big part of it was my dad being accepting and supportive of this thing that I had discovered, because I think he knew, I think he recognized from my time in elementary and middle school that I was never a popular kid in school. I wasn't the person that everyone wanted to hang out with. I wasn't invited to a lot of events. And I'm sure he also knew that with the struggles that I was dealing with when my mom was sick, on top of trying to keep on top of my advanced placement classes, I did not get to do a lot of things for myself, and there wasn't a lot of things that I enjoyed doing. So when I discovered voice acting, I'm not going to lie, I was very obnoxious and I was very loud because I was always auditioning for these projects that involved yelling or screaming or doing character voices into a microphone that reverberated throughout in the entire house. And it was not easy for people to tolerate. But I do believe that my dad understood that this was something I was genuinely passionate about and something that I was committed to and something that he did not need to push me to do. And I was putting in the effort and actually planning for my future around this. And so, even though it was frustrating at times, I recognized that he let it happen and supported it because in his mind, he was going, you know what? He's at that age where some people are going out and hanging out with the wrong crowd, or they're getting involved with drugs, or they're getting involved with alcohol, and they're developing bad habits. And if the worst habit that my son has is that he's having fun doing something and building a life skill in the process, I can tolerate this if it means that he's building something for himself in the future. And I think that went a long way to me discovering what I enjoyed and becoming decent at it. And I love pointing out to him nowadays all of these things that I've accomplished and reminding him that his tolerance, I'll call it tolerance, that his tolerance and support through non-interference allowed for this development to happen.
I don't know if your dad's ever going to hear this, but I just want to
I've told him.
like I just find that very heartwarming and good to hear, because I love when we hear stories about supportive parents, even if it's something that they're just tolerating. Your dad is an amazing person for letting you explore this and grow into this amazing voice actor that you are today. And I hope that other people are having that same type of relationship with their parents as well, because I know it's not easy. My mom was a nurse. She wanted me to go in the medical field, and I know way too much about medical terminology and how to do things. It's insane. But I knew that it wasn't for me. I wanted to be in entertainment. I was playing piano and singing at 5. I wanted to do this. This is what I've been wanting to do. Of course, it's not the path my life took, but it finally circled around there in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, oh my goodness, that's really really sweet. Okay.
Just all kind of ruminating on everything we just shared,
Yeah. So let's switch gears to Poppy Playtime.
Yes, an hour and a half in, and we're finally on part 2 of 3.
Your role in this franchise adds such a human and haunting layer to an already eerie world. And from our previous interview with Michael Kovac, we learned that he passed on reprising the role of Dr. White, and you landed
I
the
wasn't aware
part.
of that.
Yeah. Can you tell us what that was like?
Well, I'll be up front and say that Poppy Playtime is a franchise that I know relatively little about. Like, I'm still, is it a show or a game? It's a game, right?
It's a game.
Okay. Like, that's how little cred I have coming into this.
It's okay.
But it's a good example of how it can range based on how much knowledge you have going in. Like, for example, if I can jump back to Reen Shores or Trails of Cold Steel for a moment, Trails of Cold Steel was a case where when I found out that I was going to be voicing in the first game, obviously I didn't know enough about, I couldn't understand the game being played in a different language, but I could go to the TV tropes page and look up all the tropes about the game and then ask follow-up questions. And then once we had localized the first game, I played through the entire first game in preparation for the second game so that I would know what actually happened and what environment we were in and how Reen developed as a character. Whereas Poppy Playtime is an example where I was coming in and I must have thought that this was a new character, or because I didn't know it was being recast or being reprised. The only info that I had to go off of was what the director had told me, because now granted, I probably could have done research and played the game, but I was busy enough that I think I'm justified in saying I did not really have enough time to really sit down and dedicate the time to experiencing the entire world. And sometimes for the sake of protecting confidential information and reducing the risk of it leaking out, I will not be given any info about the project I'm working on, not a character name, not a franchise name, not a script, until I am literally in the booth and we are 2 minutes away from starting recording. That does happen at times. So Poppy Playtime was definitely an experience where I had to use my experience as an actor to go, okay, what's our scenario? What is this character like? Where is this happening? Is this gameplay element? Is this a pre-recorded tape that's being left behind? Is this a pre-rendered cutscene? Is he narrating over something? All right, what style are we going for? What is my character's motivation? All right, let's make an educated decision about this. How was that? Was that close? Do we need to tweak this? And in the absence of a foundation of knowledge, we created it in the moment and then used it to do the performance that was needed.
That's really cool to know. I just know when we talked about it with Michael, they were like, yeah, because he said he'd gotten the role of Doey, and then when it came to Dr. White, who he had been voicing up until that point, and I think if I'm correct, in the interview, he said he recommended you because you both can imitate each other and sound like each other so well.
I mean, I'm not as good a singer as Michael is. It's kind of ridiculous how much he can, how well he can sing. If you've heard any of the myriad of song covers that he has done as his characters, but I do think that's funny. I want to hear his impression of me sometime.
Michael, if you're listening, I don't know if he's listening, but if you're listening, there you go. When you do the impression, it's gotta happen.
Do it. Why do you think mascot and indie horror like Poppy Playtime have exploded in popularity recently, especially among younger and furry audiences?
I think it's a mix of things. I think it's the independent creation aspect. I think a lot of these projects are being made by independent creators or small teams that are not being backed by like larger corporate funding sources. And we are very much in a, I don't want to say a society, but we're in an era of media consumption where there is a lot of hesitance or even dislike towards, I would call it conglomerates, you know, like folks like major corporations that are putting out games with decreasing quality for increasing price points. And that is why you have games like Lethal Company made by like a one-person team or a very small team that do exceptionally well because the focus is on the community aspect and the fun. Things like Digital Circus are doing really well because it's not about the player input, it's about the experience, it's about the character interactions. Poppy Playtime isn't just something you experience, there is lore, there is a story. There's a little bit of horror. It's not just about scaring you, it's about the mixture of things that aren't scary with things that are scary. And I feel like prior to this, there were a lot of games that are like, we exist for the pure purpose of being scary. From moment one to moment final, the whole thing is supposed to be dark and dreary and horrifying. And when you're always in that state, when you're always expecting it, it's difficult to feel fearful anymore, if that makes sense. So I just think we're in a kind of a golden era right now for passionate creators who are, you know, coming up with new or unique or original concepts, or even if they're concepts that have been done before, they are coming from a place of, I, the creator, or we, the team, want to tell a story rather than we want to just publish something in a genre and sell it to the market audience that likes that genre.
It's really interesting to hear. I love hearing people's take on that question specifically, just because it has exploded. FNAF really drove it, and it's just grown exponentially since then. And so it's really, I love anything indie anyway, but it's just so really cool to see these communities come together and just makes so much really cool artistry, whether it's games, whether it's animation. It's amazing to me, and I love being part of it.
But is there just a curious side question? Is there a project that we would consider to be, you know, small team or indie creator or something that you have fallen down the rabbit hole of, where it's like, oh, I was addicted to Lethal Company, or I was addicted to, what was the game about going viral?
Oh, I know the one you're talking about.
Content warning.
Content warning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, welcome to Chili's. Oh, spooky little snail. Oh, spooky little snowman. He's in here with us. No, my beans.
So is there a game where you're like, oh, that was my personal experience with, you know, it's low budget but high replayability? Because Peak was that for me today. I want to jump back into Peak sometime soon.
Peak is fun.
You two. I want us to grab a fourth person and play Peak together.
Let's do it.
I'm down for that.
So down for that. I really love Repo.
Repo's great. I love Repo.
I love Repo. It's those little robots are so silly and so cute looking. And then of course, it took me forever to realize that there's a set of lockers within Chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime that look exactly like the Repo robots.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like,
So funny.
it just makes me happy. They're just so cute.
Little trash cans.
Little trash cans and googly eyes.
I'm checking out the trailer right now.
It is.
Oh my god. I would spend the whole time going, hey buddy, what are we gonna claim back today, buddy? For the great country of Canada.
See, you're thinking that, and I thought the same thing, but I immediately went to Cheese from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and I just kept going.
Yes.
And just like doing the little horse noises he does.
Oh my gosh.
And you see me running around in the background going, I like chocolate milk. My favorite though is, I don't know, there were some creators that played the game and they modded it so they all look like Muppets. And there was a whole group of Miss Piggies. And so one of my friends who had sent it to me when we were playing started doing the imitation of Miss Piggy. And then everyone started to do it while my friend was live on Twitch.
Hey, what is Christopher me?
If you do it
Madness.
I'm scared.
Why? What? What's wrong? What?
All I hear is
And you could see him turn everybody down as we were just progressively getting louder and laughing.
The frog running out being like, come with me if you want to live.
Oh my god.
And it's like, Kermie, help me. Leave her behind. I can get her insurance money. Let's go.
Oh my god. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's a really fun game.
Oh my gosh. Just Kermit the Frog pointing the flashlight at a horrifying monster, and he just narrows his eyes and goes, try me, bitch.
Sorry, I was trying to take a drink when you said that.
You don't scare me. I already had an entoma.
Oh.
Oh god. I hope people have fun making animatics out of this episode.
Please, yes.
Okay, so moving on. You came to my mascot indie horror panel at Texas Furry Fiesta in fursuit, which was a total surprise. I had no idea that you were going to show up. You came up, you gave me a hug afterwards, and later we went and had dinner with my friend Oreo and Kibbles at the ramen place, and you swung by, said hello, and sat with us and talked for a little bit, which is really cool, and it meant so much for us. So now I have...
Bad I didn't get to sit down and have a proper meal with you all there.
Next year. Are you coming back next year?
To which event?
To TFF?
What, did they announce which dates it is next year?
Yeah, it's in March next year.
March what dates?
Ooh, good question. Hold on.
Okay, I do have it marked. 26th to the 29th. I do have it marked down just in case.
Okay. Well, you never know. Maybe they will actually get to sit down and have a meal.
I hope I get to guest at TFF.
That would be really cool.
That would be swell.
I do have to ask, when did you become a member of the furry fandom? And do you want to tell us some interesting info about your persona?
So I would say I've been a member. I was like an indirect observer since like 2009. And that was around the same time that I was participating in an IRC group chat roleplay group for Pokemon. And when I say that group was committed, I mean at the end of one of our biggest story arcs, my character died and I was prepared for their story to be over. And everyone did like you know how like in Mystery Dungeon there's like the post game scene that where you end up finding a way to come back, but for like a while it's a completely different side story. Everyone in the IRC committed to a side story mission that ended with them erasing the last 3 months of RP progress for everyone, and they all played it straight. Like anything that they had developed, anything that they had remembered, any conversation that they had had in the last 3 months, they acted as though they had never done those things and repeated them from step one just to bring my character back. I was flabbergasted because I was not the person who's like, guys, you have to do whatever is necessary. I was totally ready to just pick up a different character and tell a new story. And they were like, no, we want him back. Even though he's an asshole, we want him back. But anyway, so I was a casual observer from like 2009 all the way to, I want to say, 2015. And then around the time that I was helping Clace Husky with their production of Winds of Change was when I was able to join them as like a special guest associate for stuff like Arizona Furcon, because they were talking about their project at a panel and they wanted to have me on as like someone who could talk about the voice acting side. And then obviously once 2017 happened and Breath of the Wild was coming out, well, now all of a sudden I was, you know, a voice actor who was involved in furry aligned projects on a much grander scale. So I was able to afford going to conventions just to experience them, but also people were slowly starting to recognize, hey, this is someone who works in the industry. When you say tell you something about I assume Pommy is who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Do you know where his name comes from?
No idea.
Do you want to venture a guess, Amber?
I don't know. I'm bad at guessing.
Did any of you own a Nintendo 64?
No.
Oh, it's that bad, huh?
Yeah.
There was this game on Nintendo 64 called Bomberman 64: The Second Attack. And Bomberman almost immediately meets this little pink alien creature. I believe the official term in the Bomberman universe is Karabon or something like that. Karabon. And he introduces himself and he goes, Pommy's name is Pommy. Pommy is the cutest hero in the whole galaxy. And he's charming, but he's also a little bit full of himself. Not in like a jerky way, but like he's confident in a way that goes, oh, you sweet summer child. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really identified with that. So I stole his name from that classic game, and that's what I named the character because I thought it was cute and soft and everything. And he has had 2 iterations. He had a partial from Lemon Brat because I was very impatient and having massive FOMO, and I was willing to trade money for access because Lemon Brat was always open for commissions. And they did a decent job. But I just, eventually as I got older, I was like, I don't want to look like a high schooler anymore. So I got a badge art done that I really felt identified as someone in their mid to late 20s. And then I found my dream maker, which was Ahun, Haidon Ahun from South Korea. And after waiting 1.5 years to get on their queue, and then 3.5 years for them to do a 6-month commission, I finally got the full, and it has been what I've used ever since.
It's a nice full suit, by the way, Amber.
It is. It is, and I'm very lucky because Ahun, shortly after shipping out my suit, got in such deep trouble that they're now in hiding in their own home country because people are looking for their address so they can sue them.
Oh.
What?
I think I'm legitimately either the second to last or the last person that has actually gotten their finished commission from that maker.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm taking very good care of it because I don't know who I can go to if something on it breaks.
I know people. I'm immediately thinking of Crafty.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Crafty's such a freaking talented person.
And,
oh my gosh.
But no, Crafty would be great at that. But no, well, that's really cool to hear. I love the fact that you were talking about the IRC chats because Digimon was my foray into the furry fandom back when I was like 13 years old. I didn't really get involved until I think, like, honestly, 2020 is when I finally got involved with the furry fandom.
Doesn't that worry you though? Because like if you snugged a Digimon in their mega form and then they, reverted back to baby form, you could roll over in the middle of the night and crush them and kill them.
See, that wouldn't be a problem for me because my favorite Digimon is Millenniummon.
Oh, hold on. Millennium Mon. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the most evil Digimon in existence, but I just think he's very misunderstood.
For more hugs. He only has like 15 health points. I could fart in his general direction and he'd fall over.
But I used to host, like, this is way back in the day when my internet provider was America Online on my compact computer in the living room. I used to host on MSN Chats a Digimon RP chat, and that carried over when MSN Chats closed to a different chat service and then to DeviantArt, and we were there for years until I think finally, a lot of us were starting college, and then life got in the way. But I'm still friends with a few of them, and we catch up now and then because Odaiba Day was just on the 1st, and so I sent a bunch of messages to them. But no, that's really cool to hear. I love when I hear like people, I used to be a part of this IRC chat. Like that is really cool to me. I love that. It makes me feel less of a nerd.
I know.
Shivers, I'm sorry to say this, but you are already a nerd.
Oh,
it's certified.
I am a. You just have to. We had someone come in to fix my shower over the week, and every time before they come in, I'm just like, I have to warn you, I have a lot of plushies. And they come in like, oh, you do have a lot of plushies. I'm like, yeah, I'm a nerd.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna turn my camera on real quick. Hold on. HD Pro webcam. Okay, get ready for this.
Oh my god!
Oh, hold on. I feel like
God, you have so many.
That's a lot. I feel like I have more.
Oh, I believe that you have more, but this is my stream couch. This is this is the one that I will brag about. This is a one-of-a-kind commission that I had done.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that is. It's not real fur, but it's like a very delicate fur that I have to like brush to keep it in place. But yeah, so yeah, my wife and I have a rule where once we've hit a limit, every time we get a new plush, we have to give one away to make space, and we followed that rule exactly 0 times. We followed it twice, but we've broken it 12.
Amber knows of an unfortunate accident that just happened to me. I was shaving in the shower and forgot to change the setting on my garden, so I shaved my entire half side of my beard off and had to trim the whole thing off. But I'm gonna turn my camera on. I don't like how I look right now, but I do want to show you the amount that I have.
I also want to show you the plethora of plushies I currently have on the windowsill.
So I have this whole wall of both doors covered, this whole left side of my bed covered, and then
you're a brave person for having a plush on the couch like that when you turn the lights off in your house.
I have all these right here, and
then goodness,
there's a whole bunch of them up there.
Oh, you got the corner hammock. Yep.
I do. Yep. I do love the corner hammock.
It may be a little bit hard to kind of see all of the plushies that I have. I recently just got one of those corner hangers where you put your plushies on. My plushies are all along on the wall here on my window.
That's cute. I am curious how the plushies that are up against the window are going to look in like 3 to 5 years when the sun has bleached that half of them.
Oh, well, I mean, so funny thing is that the sunlight does not usually directly hit on the plushies. I am facing on the north-south side.
I was going to tell you, show him your butterflies and the moths.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. Did you frame them and like pin them yourself?
Yeah. So 4 of the frames, I did myself. So these ones I did. There's a death's head in the middle of it that I did not do. This one I did. This one I did. This one I did. And these are all my own specimens too. And the 2 little butterfly wings that are like really big, those are bird wings.
Sure.
And then this one and this one I got at a little gay pride festival. They were selling them.
A little gay pride festival.
And then this one I got from my father who was from the Philippines, and he like kind of sent that over. And then this one I got in Canada a few weeks back. I went to Canada for my birthday, and I saw one of them at the flea market, and I'm like, I really want one.
Okay.
So,
First
yeah.
of all, we can all have a little gay pride festival as a treat. Second,
Yeah.
if I wanted to be an absolute bastard, I would wait until you were out for the day or out for a trip, and I would safely move them, but I would remove about half the butterflies from their frames, move the spiders to a different location, and replace them with slightly bigger spiders.
Devious.
Right.
And that would be a dream come true. I love having like these really big spiders on my wall.
So
Like, woo.
this is my lovely Monster Hunter Wolf Aurora, and this is Aurora's butt. You notice anything about Aurora's butt?
It's white.
So my friend pre-ordered them for me from Japan and then stored them in her workshop, but she stored them behind the curtain in the Japanese sun. So
I
over
see.
the course
Oh,
of the
I see
Japanese
it.
summer, Aurora's entire butt half that was facing the sun got completely discolored. But I think it's
Oh.
really charming that it goes from lavender to this really nice blue. So I named her Aurora, and it's short for Aurora Buddy Alice because she has this multicolor drift on her tail that covers her buttocks, and I think it's adorable.
Oh my gosh. That is really cute. Okay, so let's talk about the Amazing Digital Circus. When you first saw Kinger, what were your initial thoughts? What drew you to this entomologist of a character?
I got hired for him, and they said, we're offering you the role, and I said, yeah, I accept. I actually auditioned for a couple characters. I auditioned for Jax, I auditioned for Kinger, I auditioned for the Gloink Queen, and although,
Oh,
Elsie
wow.
did a fantastic job,
I was very proud of the voice that I did for the Gloin Queen.
Holy shit.
right. So I'm not upset of what I did. But Kinger was an example where the reference was something that I understood because they were asking for something that sounded like the manic robot from Futurama. And if you've ever seen the first episode when Fry moves into his very, very cramped closet apartment, there's this robot that goes, "It's very nice to meet you." And Fry goes, "Actually, we've met once before." And the robot goes, "What?" before exploding in his face. And you can probably immediately tell, that's the energy that they wanted for Kinger as well. So it was, for me, it was like, okay, well, I recognize that character. That's what's familiar to me. So I have a foundation that I can use, and I'm guessing my own voice that I put to it worked with the energy that they were looking for from that robot character, and they offered me the gig. So
Gosh.
That's so
That's
cool.
so cool.
I love that. So, episode 3 is often called Kinger's episode, and rightfully so. It showcases his emotional depth and past trauma. What was your reaction when you first read that script?
I actually, when the episode was airing and we did the live watch with the audience of the convention that we were at, everyone was like, "Hey, good luck on your episode. You must have had a lot of fun. We're here to watch it with you. Are you excited?" And I did not remember a single damn thing that I recorded for that episode. I didn't. I'm grateful to say that I'm at the point in my career where, like, even when I can't even think about the number of things I've auditioned for that I didn't book because I am so quickly moving on to the next thing that it doesn't have time to sit around in my brain and ruminate. But that also means that I'll record for stuff like episode 3. Like, for example, as they said, we've done table reads up through the final episode already. They made that public announcement. So even though only, episode 5 is currently out,
Yes.
and I would bet that we've already recorded for episode 6, probably episode 7. But if you offered me $10,000 to tell you one thing that happens in either of those episodes, I literally would not walk away with any money because I can't remember what happens in those episodes. So I was very, very glad that I was happy to see that it was a Kinger-focused episode, and I was even happier that I didn't suck at it. And that's really all that I can say about it, is because I'm glad that Goose knew what they wanted out of the episode. I'm glad that they directed me into the reads that they were looking for. I'm glad that I was able to bring the performance that they were looking for. But often, once the work is done, it's anybody's guess when we'll finally get to talk about it. And then it can lead to awkward things where it's like, that was a relatively short turnaround. But there are times where games come out that I remember recording for 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I hope that Sean Chiplock, the actor from 2 to 3 years ago, was not significantly worse than the Sean Chiplock of today. So.
Not possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's possible. Just go to my Newgrounds page. Watch the stuff that I voiced in then.
You know what? I will. Challenge accepted.
You're gonna have to let me know on that.
I shall.
I'll look it up. Sonic Mega, Newgrounds. Yeah, there we go. You literally can watch any of these Flash animations that I used to be a part of and learn that I was very loud, and that's about all I had going for me.
Okay, so the moment where Kinger reveals that his wife abstracted but still recognized him in the dark is honestly one of my favorite scenes and was incredibly powerful. How did you approach performing that emotional beat?
Well, I didn't know how they were going to look in the episode. Well, I guess I did know how they were going to look in the episode because we had episode 1. So that's a lie. Ignore what I said about that. Right, I'm dumb.
No!
That's what we talk about when we're grounding performances. He doesn't need to act like he's calming down a monster. I don't need to act like he's afraid. He loves his wife. I love my wife. So I just take the parts of me that I identify with in the character and I go, here's how I would speak in this situation. If I knew that I was getting to talk with the love of my life, regardless of how they looked, and that they still appreciated having me around, there's only so many ways that you can portray that. It doesn't take a lot of guessing. So I don't want to say that acting is easy, but I think a lot of people forget that being an actor is just being authentic as someone other than yourself. And that doesn't mean you aren't allowed to take parts of yourself and put them into the character. It's just going, okay, how would I feel about the situation? How would the character feel about the situation? If this is already emotional for me, and I know for a fact that this character loves their wife regardless of what their wife looks like, I already know how to approach this scene. And all you have to do is be truthful about it, and it's going to be authentic.
Absolutely.
Gosh.
That's so
Yeah.
true. So that line in that particular scene, in this world, the worst thing you can do is make someone think that they're not wanted or loved is one of my favorite lines, and it's actually something that I kind of live by on a day-to-day basis. And it really
Same.
resonated with viewers. What was your interpretation of it, and what do you hope people take from that moment?
One more time, what is my interpretation of which moment?
Of that line of him saying the worst thing you can do is make someone think that they're not wanted or loved.
That's a difficult thing for me to answer because as a generalized statement, I agree. I think you can disagree with someone without saying you're dumb and you should die alone or you should kill yourself. Like, obviously that is such a exaggerated, unnecessary level of vitriol that it doesn't really have a place. But in the same way that, like, saying, you should be tolerant, but you can't tolerate intolerance, because tolerating intolerance is how you end up with, like, fascism and Nazism and stuff like that. There is a limit to that phrase, and this is something I speak from personal experience, because I do agree that one of the worst things you can do is make someone think they're not wanted or loved. But how do you approach that when it comes to someone who definitively has acted that way towards other people? Like, to what degree are you supposed to show courtesy and kindness and acceptance to someone who is turning around and doing the exact opposite, and you are witnessing people become victims to that behavior? Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, and it gets even rougher when it's like, I imagine you can totally make the argument and go, well, that doesn't mean you should tell that person you don't deserve to be loved. You should try and make them aware of what they are doing and express how disappointing it is and express the harm that they are doing to other people. And in a perfect world, like, yes, that would be enough for someone to go, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed with myself. Thank you for letting me know. But in a world that has stuff like paranoia and narcissism, or maybe there's literally something going on on a chemical or a mental imbalance where, you know, in any other situation, or if they had the proper resources to help them, they would be able to recognize it, but they are in a bad place. They are incapable of having enough stability to where they can have that sort of self-introspection. It can be really difficult to just take that statement at face value. So I'm worried that people are going to take this the wrong way and go, oh my God, you know, Sean Chiplock doesn't even ascribe to the good wisdom that Kinger is saying. But as with many things in life, I believe it works in moderation. I say it is a great rule to live by, and is something that I have definitely internalized. But I also would say that in the real world, it's really important that we be aware of that we just be aware of what's around us, that we be aware of how people treat us, and we be aware of how they treat other people, especially people that they don't think they have anything to gain from. I have unfortunately been on the example of people who are really nice to me or offer me all sorts of opportunities because I was in something that they really enjoyed, who do not even give the time of day to other people nearby me, to my friends, or even to my partner or wife, because they are laser focused on me in that moment. So I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles at this point. So the core thing of what I'm going to say is, yes, I do not think in 99.9% of cases that there is anything good to come out of telling someone that they are not wanted or not loved. But I do think there is a justification if someone is doing active harm to a community, or if their presence is a credible, harmful threat to the existence of that space and its purpose, that there is cause to say, because of how you conduct yourself, because of the type of person that you have decided to be, and because of the influence and the impact that you have on others, we do not want you in this space. You are not wanted in this space because your presence is doing more harm to the collective group than we gain by including you.
I think that's a very wise way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
I think maybe that's where the complexity comes in, is there is a difference between saying nobody wants you, nobody likes you, and saying there are always going to be people who like you, but the people who like the person that you are right now do not align with our group. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect
sense.
sense.
If you act in a way that aligns with white supremacists, as an extreme example, I would not be surprised if white supremacists love the hell out of you. And if people who identify as progressive, or identify as LGBT, or identify and support, you know, oppressed communities, want nothing to do with you. And I think they would be justified in saying, yes, there are people who like you. We don't. Go away. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Kinger's clarity in darkness is like a really unique metaphor. Did you personally connect with that at all? And has it taken on a deeper meaning to you post-release?
you said Kinger's calm and peace in the darkness?
Yes.
In the introverted sense, yes. In the actual physical darkness, no. In the introverted sense, I really cherish the times that I get to just exist in my own space and not have to say anything and not have to perform and not be on all the time. And especially as I have gotten more prolific in my career, it does feel like the opportunities to do that are fewer and fewer and fewer, because between trying to keep on top of streaming and making sure that I make time for my wife and making sure that I make time for my partner and saying yes to these convention travel opportunities and saying yes to my job opportunities because I recognize how lucky I am to be in that position, it has gotten increasingly difficult to have any semblance of time to myself where I'm doing nothing or just doing my own thing, to the point where even when I do have it, I'm more likely to fall asleep because my body, like running a marathon. When you are constantly running a marathon, you're not aware of the actual level of fatigue until you stop running and your body has a chance for the energy to catch up to it or for the exhaustion to catch up to it. So there are dozens and dozens of instances where I have had 4 or 5 hours free if I wanted to game and not have anything else to do. And I end up sleeping for most of it because my body goes, oh, I don't know when the next chance I'm going to have to get a decent nap in is, so I'm going to take it now while the getting's good. On the darkness perspective, my most common way of going to bed or going to sleep is browsing my phone or playing on my Switch until I am so tired that I can't focus on what I'm doing anymore, and then I just literally set it to the side and immediately fall asleep, just because of personal fears and like family history and just my own thoughts wandering and existentialism and all of that thing. I don't really trust leaving myself alone with my thoughts in the dark, because it often ends up going into really deep introspective places that scare me, and I would rather just go straight to sleep and wake up and have something else to focus on. So it's both good and bad, but there are aspects of it that I identify with, and especially because I identify as a people pleaser, because I am someone who tends to look out for others' needs before I look out for my own. I really identify with Kinger's thing of like, if I'm in the dark and there's someone that I'm calming and speaking to, I am more focused on helping them feel at peace and comfort than my own feelings in that moment. Or even my peace and comfort is coming from focusing on them, because it means my own mind is not running at 20 miles a minute.
What's been your favorite Kinger moment to record, whether emotionally heavy or just plain chaotic?
Favorite Kinger moment to record. There's definitely a lot of different quotes that people like having me repeat. I gotta think of something, whether it's the chaotic moment. I really enjoyed the pep talk that he gave to Pomni. I know that it's hard to default to episode 3, but when we've only had 5 episodes so far and each one feels like it's focused on a different character, of course most of Kinger's greatest moments are going to happen in episode 3. But I really enjoy his softer side. I really enjoy that a character that was initially portrayed as just being the kooky older dude has this really gentle moment that perhaps the most unstable person ends up being the most stable person. Isn't it funny how it works out that way? Where the person who half the time is the least reliable when it comes to figuring out what to do, in many other aspects is the most reliable person to seek advice from. It just depends on the location and the situation.
So I made a fan edit from episode 3 using the song Mary on a Cross by the band Ghost. It builds to the line, "Your beauty never ever scared me," time to him touching his wife's face, then transitions to Pomni and Kinger crossing the bridge together as he glows, ending with a shot where the light where he's passing through 2 concrete pillars kind of makes it look like a cross. And I showed it to Amber and we were both sobbing. Would you like me to share this with you as well?
Sure, why not?
Okay, you can just watch this whenever you're free.
How long is it, just so I know?
It's like a minute.
Okay. I mean, we'll watch it right now. Okay, I'm halfway through and I'm immediately thinking marinara sauce.
That happens a lot.
Just dunking breadsticks with his wife. I also thought you meant Mariana as a trench, and I'm like, oh, I understand now. And now I really want Pizza Hut breadsticks. This is unfiltered ADHD.
I love their breadsticks though.
Oh my god, their breadsticks slap. And I'm paused at a moment where like Queenie's eyes are looking to the side, and it's almost like she's going, I could do with some breadsticks with Pizza Hut. And now she's closing her eyes. Oh, but I don't have any marinara sauce. Okay, I will tickle you internally. There is a place for me to use that phrase, and that's for me and my wife to know and you to find out. I'm gonna call that getting the entima.
Yes.
I told my pastor you go down just like Holy Mary, and they told me to stop going to mass. They told me I'm not welcome in the confessional booth anymore. Okay, now Pomni's walking, and I just imagine her mouth is full of Pizza Hut breadsticks. I mean, you tell me this is not the look on my face where you decide to ask an interview question after I've just shoved an entire breadstick in my mouth, and I'm not sure whether to finish chewing and swallow or try and answer because I don't want there to be dead air during the interview.
Screaming.
Oh god.
All right, that was very heartfelt. And as you can tell, my response to emotionally trying videos is comedy, but also the idea that I may have potentially ruined this for you because next time you watch this, you're going to think of marinara sauce with breadsticks. That's my legacy. I'm glad that we could experience experience this moment together.
I'm always going to remember this moment because if anyone ever like raids into my channel on Twitch, this song plays, and a lot of people ask me if they're saying marinara. So,
Oh, really?
for real, this is legitimately a thing. So I'm
Yeah.
always going to remember this moment, and this did not ruin it. I actually don't think I've laughed harder than in this moment.
I cannot believe I'm so fucking unoriginal.
I love that you made it a whole bit though. Screaming.
Okay, we're really close to the end.
Yes.
But the Amazing Digital Circus has resonated deeply with so many people. What's it been like watching this little indie series become a global phenomenon? And what has Kinger taught you as an actor or a person?
I still don't feel like I belong in it. Is because my reference when I was auditioning for Kinger was effectively a character impersonation for me, and because this is something that I've observed and gotten really worried about. Like, I cannot emphasize enough. The casts are phenomenal. They have been so welcoming. It is the most I've ever felt like I'm part of a family and not just part of a cast of a project. But between all the times I have missed out on going to events with them because of other events I've already booked, because I've had more opportunities to go to events already, or had them pre-booked in advance. I've really struggled with feeling like I have the same, I don't want to say investment, with feeling like I have the same place within the project as they do, where like, all of them are interacting with each other. For folks like Alex, this is his first time he's ever been on a professional project like this, and he's doing an absolutely stellar job, and everyone is discussing the lore and discussing what they think is going to happen to the characters, and either because I've been busy or because I've been distracted, I have not been participating in the theory crafting and, oh, I want to see the characters do this. I've just kind of come in and done my job and then left, and it's left me with this feeling of, am I doing it wrong? Am I not exploring the character enough? Am I not doing him justice? Do I deserve to have the kind of praise that I'm giving when all of my colleagues, it feels like they're giving way more attention and love and focus into this than I am? And so it's been really difficult. I really appreciate that Kinger has reminded me, to focus on positivity as opposed to satire and sass. I do think that I've done a lot less on social media of like, making jokes at the expense of things as opposed to talking about things that I'm passionate about. But in terms of the project itself, it's been really difficult to feel like when all this is said and done, that I am going to have as much of a statue, like a philosophical statue in the history of the project that all of my colleagues are. And I'm not necessarily bothered by it. It's just something that I'm aware of and think about a lot.
I see.
So if you could go back in time and have a chat with little Sean, what would you tell yourself prepared for the future?
I'd slap him across the face and leave without explaining. Honestly, I think the one thing that I would impart upon him, I don't even know if he would listen. I don't know if I would out myself as being a future version of myself, because younger me would probably want to have all sorts of questions. I think the two things that I would impart on him are, number one, you do not need as much money as you think you need to move out to California, so start investing that in certain companies instead, because it will make things a lot easier for you down the road. And the second thing that I would impart upon him is saying, like, the same thing that I was saying earlier about picking your battles on social media, because unfortunately, while I am grateful that my learning the hard way about picking fights with the wrong people happened early enough that it hasn't become a blight on my career nowadays, it still is something that I have to deal with from time to time, and it has unfortunately successfully, or the people that felt like they had a grudge against me have successfully managed to take away things from me that I really appreciated and enjoyed, and I don't know if I'll ever get them back. And that really sucks. I am immensely grateful that I am still doing my career, that I'm finding success in my career, that I'm building opportunities with a lot of additional people, and especially that the people I have worked with have, whether or not they've been forced to deal with accusations or deal with claims, have looked at them and gone, I already know this is bullshit. I already know this is not, how Sean is, and I'm not going to give it any thought or any credence. But the fact that it's even something that exists to begin with is an unfortunate thing that I wish I didn't have to deal with. And so I would want to, by any means necessary, make it clear to my younger self that it's not worth it. The temporary feeling of vindication, the temporary feeling of winning an argument online is not, was not, and will never be worth the repercussions, deserved or not, that happened as a result of getting involved in that drama. And hopefully I could avoid it for myself in the future.
I think that is actually really good sound advice. I really do.
For real. We love to showcase the fans. Do you have any fan artwork of characters you voiced that you could send so we can share them?
I get a lot. I would say the best chance is to just browse my Blue Sky, because I don't really go randomly browsing for fan art that people have drawn. Like I said, this is part of the thing where I feel like I'm distanced from a lot of the Digital Circus cast, is because it feels like they are always hunting down and sharing cool fan art that they find of the characters that they play. And I'm so focused on my daily routine, on my work, on my loved ones, on the tasks that I need to take care of, that I don't have the opportunity to do that. It's not something that is a little bit of history lesson. People say high up on the totem pole, but that's the opposite of what it should mean, because the lowest elements of a totem pole are the most important, because that's what all the other pieces are sitting on top of. So it's the bottom parts of a totem pole that are the most important. So that's me fighting to correct an error in a turn of phrase. It's not very low on my totem pole, but I do get a lot of incredible physical fan art from folks at conventions. So much so that I'm struggling to figure out what to do with it, because I only have so much space in this house. And so I've slowly been pushing people to say, hey, bring me stuff like candy instead, like the wrist candy that you wear on your arm, because I've really made a thing of like keeping a small collection of my arm of the candy that people have given me. And when I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I don't want any more candy than this, then when someone wants to give me one, I can participate in that whole transfer ritual where you do the like love, peace, unity, whatever it is, and then you like each, trade a piece or something like that.
Yes.
And I think that's a really unique way of sharing something special with fans without constantly collecting things that either I have to make room for to my detriment, or I have to get rid of to the detriment of the people who spent the time and energy on making that fan art.
Aw.
I think that's really cool. That's so different too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we are down to our last question. Literally, where can we find you on the internet?
Blue Sky and Twitch. Like, I don't do the video song and dance on Instagram. Never installing TikTok. I left Twitter/X, and that was one of the best things that ever happened to me in terms of both my mental health and avoiding ongoing drama. Facebook has been deleted for years at this point. So Blue Sky for, funny posting and sharing my thoughts. And then Twitch for when I stream. The streams have been very sporadic just because of my career being as busy as it is and the growing rate at which I travel to conventions. To give you an example of how few weekends I have open to myself right now, because weekends tend to be when I'm most likely to be available to stream. This Wednesday, I go to Miami. Then on Friday, I leave from Miami to go to Georgia. I don't even go back home in between. Come back for 3 days, then I fly out to Chicago for a convention, back for 3 days, and then I fly out to Texas for a convention. I'm back for about a week before I go to Indiana for a special event that I've been invited to. And in particular, in early October, oh my God. All right, so second half of September, I'm gone the weekend of the 20th. I'm gone the weekend of the 27th. I am gone the weekend of the 4th of October. And then that weekend, I'm home I'm gone the weekend of October 4th. I come home for 2 days, and then I leave for New York Comic Con on Thursday, fly home Sunday afternoon from New York Comic Con, and immediately drive to Reno, Nevada for BLFC, stay at BLFC until the 17th, and then drive to Northern California for Chico Anime for 2 days. I do not go home between October 9th and October 19th.
Oh my gosh.
I still haven't gone to BLFC. I need to.
I hope it's doing okay. I am worried because obviously it being during the work week means that only a certain demographic of furries is able to get the time off for it. And that is probably people in positions where they have unlimited PTO or IT or contractors who can decide when their vacation days are, because almost everybody else is going to save their time off for either TFF or MFF or Anthrocon or FWA, not BLFC.
Yeah.
And the other problem is between, you know, the explosion of like MAGA and like just the general, you know, Vegas casino strip style demographic as well. Reno doesn't feel like it's becoming a very safe place. And I say this as someone who was assaulted at the previous BLFC. And all I did was record video. I didn't say anything. I didn't get involved. All I did was stand as a bystander and record video in case it was needed later on. And someone took offense to me recording video and assaulted me. So I'm not sure what that means for BLFC's future, because obviously, you know, if these conventions are very, very heavily populated by underrepresented or vulnerable communities, and there is this sense of, I have better cons to go to, and also I don't feel safe at this event anymore, it doesn't give me a lot of optimism.
Yeah. I'm trying to convince Amber to, we're going to see if we work it out, but come to Denver with me at the end of August.
Puts my fingers together.
That is one of the other things that I'm massively grateful about this career. To give you an idea, this is just what I know I've had so far this year, and I don't know if it beats what I did last year. Let me count real quick. I'm only going to count visits that are related to conventions, or related to furry conventions or work conventions. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I got to start over because I wasn't sure. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 16 conventions that I've been to so far that fall under that guide. And then for the rest of the year, we have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay, we're definitely setting a new record here. 27, 28, 29. Currently, I will have traveled to about 29 different furry or work events over the course of this year.
Jesus.
You got me beat. My last one's 4. Denver will be my 4th for this year.
And I can do that because for the work events, obviously I just let my clients know, hey, I'm going to be at a work convention. Let's schedule around when I'm going to be home. And for the personal events, as long as I give enough advance notice and I get the work done, there is no boss to tell me how much time I'm allowed to take off.
Yeah. But Amber, where can everyone find you on the internet?
Anyone can like literally find me if you put my name Amber Loves Bugs in Google. AMBERLUVS Bugs, all one word.
Awesome. And of course, Sir Smirks was not able to join us, so make sure you go give them a follow as well. They'll be back for the next one. Little stinky nerd. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you. And again, thank you so much, Sean, for joining us as well. We really, really do appreciate you. We cannot wait to see what else you have coming out.
Thank you for having me. I hope you feel like you got answers that were as exploratory and insightful as you were looking for.
I'm not gonna lie, this is my favorite interview I've ever done. This has been so fun, so funny. I have had a blast doing this.
I'm so glad. All right. Make sure you take care of yourself. Go take a bio break, hydrate, take your Entoma. And that's a thing now. That's a thing.
I'm never gonna live that down.
Right.
If I ever see you in real life, the first thing I'm gonna say is, "I took my Entoma, Sean."
We can all take one together. It's an Entomukbang.
Come, let's take Entoma together.
Let's do it.
Move over, ibuprofen.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Take care.
What?